There we go. Hi, you're watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels. I am Mike Morales here in the San Gabriel Valley. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy in the highlands of San Diego.
Rick and I have the very distinct pleasure this evening, this day, this afternoon. He and I are going to hang on a second. We're gonna taste and discuss this monster, Volcan de mi Tierra. Look at this. Check him out. Yeah, he's wearing all the flag. You know, that trucker's cap is actually kind of cool. Yep, that Volcan. You know what? Is that like agave, like Quixote wood? Is that like, or is it just?
No, it's printed plastic.
It's printed plastic. Okay.
They're pretty cool looking though. It has like this really kind of
I thought it was
matte finish.
Yeah, I thought it was made with the wood from the Quixote, because they make surfboards with stuff like that. So, you know, cool. But I don't know. It looks it looked plastic to me. So, this is Volcan de mi Tierra. This is the new expression, the newest expression from the 2020 Master Distiller of the Year, as Tequila Aficionado has decreed it, Ana Maria Romero Mena. And check this out. I don't know if you all saw this. I did a little unboxing, but check this out. This is what it comes in, folks.
Oh, you got a different picture than me.
Yeah, well, I got a Jimador, and you got yeah. See, that guy, the model for that Jimador, he actually works for Jose Cuervo. He's the most photographed Jimador in history. His first name is Memo. I don't even remember what his last name is, but he's very cool. And I don't even think, I think he's the foreman. I don't even think he cuts. He only cuts for the demos now. So anyway, this is Volcan de mi Tierra Reposado. Okay, and we're excited because Rick and I did the initial tasting with the Blanco and the Cristalino. He's got that. And again, we nominated it for packaging. I believe it won because the packaging is so beautiful. And you know, you look at the inside of the bottle. This is the Volcano. This is we're going to just describe, you know, a little bit of the bottle and the stuff, but we want to taste it first, and then we'll give you all the ins and outs, because I know you're probably anxious to find out what this is all about, why the fanfare. Off camera, Rick and I were kind of discussing the processes, the differences between the Blanco, we had I think all the don't feel special, Rick. All the tequila influencers got a signed label. So
yeah. The original label's underneath. They just slapped it over.
Yeah. All the tequila influencers. No, there's only one. It's just us. Everybody else is, you know. Anyway, regardless, we want to thank the Austin tequila lady who made this happen. She, I'll have to get her name here when we do this. She was really nice enough to get this to us. I like what I'm seeing. You know, it's a beautiful presentation, a beautiful bottle. Oh wow! Even on the back, there's like there's a batch number. It's July 2020 is when this was bottled, apparently.
Oh, mine is September.
Well, mine's an older vintage.
As are you, my friend.
I know, but you know, I'm vintaging well. I'm going to use my Glencairn whiskey glass for this one because
I'll be using the Stossel Jarrito.
There we go, and just going to pour that. Oh, look at that! Nice color. Oh, boy! Just copped a whiff from the neck of the bottle. Wow! Is that even a phrase? Copped a whiff? There's a new descriptor. Wait, there's a new tequila descriptor. I copped a whiff. I got to be careful when I say that quickly.
It's better than whiffing a cup, I guess.
I guess, yeah, you know. I gotta say, this is a beautiful. The color is golden. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
There are añejos that look this dark. Beautiful legs and tears. I hope you guys can see that. And it's you know, it's funny. They're not clinging to the glass, but it's just making a nice uniform uh, uh, string of pearls and pretty legs. But I love that color. It's visually very attractive. Oh my God. What is that? Is that the wood? There's an unusual there's a definite woodsiness that I've had before, and I want to say it's from the barrel, but we'll be discussing a little bit later in this tasting what their process is, because it's totally different from the Blanco and the Cristalino that we had last year or 2 years. Was it 2 years ago now? Wow, that is some really definitive.
Anna Maria, she has a reputation for really mixing things up in a way that kind of blows the mind of folks like us who are trying to then reverse engineer it and pull it apart. Yeah. And she's just got so much going on, combinations of processes and combinations of agave and combinations of barrels that
wow.
It's hard to really pick it apart. You just have to experience it.
Well, the thing with this is the nose on the nose. I'm getting a recall, a total recall of the of an extra añejo that I've had with this nose on it, and I'm not sure if I'm getting wood, cocoa, maybe a little bit of tobacco. There's something there that reminds me dried fruit, but it reminds me of an extra añejo. The character in this repo, it reminds me of extra añejos that I've had before, and I haven't had an extra añejo like this with this kind of character, this nose, in a long time. I think the last one I had was with you like this.
And with what we were able to pull together information about this one, I kind of had the feeling it was really going to feature barrel prominently.
And we'll tell them why in a little bit. We really got to just. I'm loving this nose, man. This nose is really just. Some people might even call it a smokiness, but that's not what it is. I don't even want to call it smoke.
Maybe a hint of smoke. I'm almost getting I'm wondering if I'm getting like this very subtle hint of maybe ripe banana.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt it.
There's this it's what? A complex combination of things.
It's not even ripe banana. It's like a ripe plantain.
There you go.
That's what this is.
Right, because not as sweet as banana.
Right, exactly. For those of you who have not had plantains or plantain chips, you should. You don't know what you're missing. This is gorgeous. I want to say this smell reminds me a lot of Don Pilar Extra Añejo. Maybe that's where I've had it. Because on the nose, it's really distinctive. We got to try it. We got to dive in. Okay. Holy cow. Damn, that's good. Wait, that's my show. No. Okay. You first. Because I can hear you calculating in your head. I mean, I know your wheels are turning.
Is the smoke coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit thinner than I expected. on the palate, I think. Um, but something that I really like is that the minerality and the pepper that we experienced in the other versions is still there. And that was a real high point for me when we reviewed the others.
Right, and we did. I think we mentioned, and they mentioned in their original information from the Blanco and the Cristalino, is that they're using their own well water from the distillery.
Right, spring water. It's in El Arenal, right near the volcano.
Right. Yeah, and we loved it because it really came through. You know, the in the Blanco and the Cristalino, I hadn't lost it. And off camera, I remember you were saying, I'm hoping that that characteristic isn't lost because it was such a, it's really, like you said, really a high point for you. And I'm glad to see that's not the case here, because this is a dry finish. It's a medium to long finish. It's almost as if it's got that bourbon Scotch kind of feel to it. I guess we should just dive into the processing, because there's a lot of different things that are going on. Rick, first of all, point out the prime material, the agave. What is it? Is it still a blend or not?
Right. So in the other versions that we reviewed, it was a 75-25 blend of lowlands and highlands. And, there was also a mix of production methods as well, probably for, one for the lowlands and one for the highlands. But this one, we're told, is 100% highlands agave.
Okay.
And then you had another interesting fact.
Yes. A couple of things. First, the fermentation, and we're looking at the information that they supplied to us. The fermentation, it's a closed fermentation tank as opposed to open air, and they're using rum yeast, which you pointed out that she had used, Ana Maria, the master distiller, had used champagne yeast for the Blanco and the Cristalino, correct?
It was, well, some was fermented with champagne yeast and some was fermented with natural yeast.
Ah.
And they were also using a mix of vats as well. Some were fermented in wood, and others, other parts were fermented in steel.
I would love to see that distillery, because to have that much equipment gives somebody like her, way too many tools to play with, too many toys.
Right. And, along with that, in the other versions, they were using a mix of cooking methods. They were using the masonry ovens for part of it, and they were using autoclave for part of it.
Yeah. This was,
and for the the extraction, they were using a combination of Tahona and roller mill.
Wow. See, so just to wrap up this process for this expression, the Reposado, again, fermentation in a closed tank, rum yeast for 3 days, 2 distillations, copper pot and stainless steel. And then this aging process is interesting. 4.5 months in American oak barrels, 4.5 months in European barrels. And I don't know if this means European. I'm not getting the sweetness that I would get with a French oak. So I want to say this is, like you said, well, the parent company is Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, right? So they have access to all kinds of barrels, right? I want to say this might be either a Scotch barrel or a Hungarian barrel. We've had some of the aged tequilas in barrels made in Hungary, but I gotta tell you, the nose on this, it says it's a 50-50 blend. I gotta say that the nose on this is very much more leaning toward the dry, the Scotch.
Right.
I got the character on this Reposado easily paired with a cigar, and it would stand up to a bolder cigar, like a good Dominican. because of
And
you.
it's not a strong Scotch character, but in terms of what we are typically pulling out of tequilas, it leans much more toward, it has a more pronounced Scotch character. But
Yes.
so if you're a tequila freak that also enjoys Scotch, you'll pick up on it. If you're primarily a tequila guy and you're wondering, oh, what is the different accent I'm picking up on? It's probably the Scotch whiskey barrel.
I love that. Like I said, I'm getting more of like I said, tobacco. If I got anything like a dry cocoa, all right, not the sweet stuff that you get in a French oak, but this is really dry. It leans into the dry, and what's interesting to me, and I don't know why I'm going to say this because it's going to sound completely sexist, but it shouldn't it shouldn't surprise me. I think I'm looking at the material here, and it can be blended in they have some recipes of old fashioned. They have a recipe of a Rosita, which I'm not sure what that is. It's Campari, Angostura bitters.
Right.
This tequila, this Reposado, is being produced so that it can be mixed or sipped, and the character won't be lost. But what surprises me is the amount of boldness and character that this tequila has. And the master distiller is not a guy; it's a woman. That she would have well, of course she would have. I don't even know why I question this. She has the palate to lean in one direction or the other, and I gotta say, man, I am impressed as hell with this. I was telling Rick off camera, for the last 5 years.
It was a little sexist.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. It's surprising to me because you're gonna say, oh, this, you would see this coming from a Carlos Camarena, who's aged in cognac barrels and things like that, something with a lot of boldness. But to have her come up with something like this, with not only bold, but it's crazy. There's a lot of elements going on. She's not just relying on the barrel; she's relying on the other variables. There's a lot of moving parts in this tequila, and I like that about this. It's
what about the agave? What about the agave? We're talking about the character that's being created from the barrels and from the production process, and the combination of wizardry that she does. But what about the agave? Like in the Blanco, we were really turned on by the lemongrass and the herbal qualities.
I'm gonna say that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the reason she used the Highlands is because it makes it. I guess that area of agave. I think in her head, she wanted to not. If she used simply lowlands, like from a Matitan or the lowlands area that you and I love, the earthiness would not play well with what she had in mind, whereas the Highlands agave would play a much better, and it's known for its fruitiness and aromatics as opposed to the dry lowlands or in Valle. I think it wouldn't play as well. I could be wrong.
Right.
I'm just but I think
maybe we could state it this way: is that the base profile that you get from Highlands agave probably provided the the better canvas that she wanted to paint on, with with the magic that she wanted to do.
You're so poetic. Why didn't I just write the flavor notes? Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. But this is, and the other thing that I'm seeing, as I was mentioning, in the last 5 years, Rick and I and a lot of the other tasters, all of our other TJs, were saying that the Reposado category, the expressions, were coming into their own. They were really making a statement. You know, it wasn't just an afterthought, because in the old days when Alex and I was just us, the Reposado was an afterthought. The money was made either in the Blanco or in the Añejo or the Extra Añejo. Okay, so we would go through a natural progression, and then the natural progression became better and better and better. Now what I'm seeing now this year and late last year, is that these master distillers are experimenting with every expression, becomes its own, has its own identity. And like the Blanco, for Blanco people, and it's going to have this kind of character. The Añejo people, for this, for the oak heads, it's going to have that kind of character. Now what we're seeing is that the Reposado it's like they're their own animal. So if you're looking for a natural expression in this line, it's not there. Right. Don't expect. I think this is
because it's different juice. It's different juice.
Yeah, it's different juice. It's not the same juice. They start with the Blanco and they just age it and then bring it along and play with the barrels. This is a whole different. It's not the usual suspect. This is a brand new. This is a brand new victim. What am I calling it? Person of interest. That's what this is. It's a brand new person of interest. I love it. Please agree with me, because I know that I'm having a great time with this. It's a Brand of Promise nominee, man. I can't.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. But in terms of the agave presence, I would say that the amount of agave presence is more like an añejo or an exe.
Yes.
Because she is really focusing on the barrel with this profile. And I think although it's not an intense barrel profile, it's a barrel profile that has a lot of character.
Right. And I think the key here, the other key that I want to make sure that we mention again, she's using rum yeast. In the past, there are certain master distillers like the gentleman who made the Mozart method. His stamp is using champagne yeast, and all of his brands that he's responsible for, that he's that's Ingeniero Leopoldo Solis, who's in charge of such brands as Don Pilar, and several others that Siembra Azul. He uses the Mozart method and champagne yeast. She went with the rum yeast, and I'd like to know why. I really would. Maybe I'll be able to have her on an open bar here shortly, and it'll be all in Spanish, because I think like this will be really fun because it'll be in Spanglish. But I'd love to pick her brain and ask her why she picked rum yeast versus the combo that she made with the other two.
Right.
Because I think the rum yeast makes a big difference also. I know that Herman Gonzalez uses a variety of barrels to make his Tears of Llorona, and one of we have him on tape saying that his special secret has always been using a Scotch barrel, as opposed to whiskey. He loved using Scotch, and of course Tears, I think, is a blend of a few other dry, generally dry barrels that give a dryness to the liquid. I want to know why she used rum barrels.
No, rum yeast.
Rum yeast. I think it's intriguing to me.
Where she went. I don't know that I've had any others where they've explicitly stated that they fermented with rum yeast.
Yeah, I've had rums before. And you know what? Maybe that's what I'm smelling, or maybe that's what I'm reminiscing about, because where my parents were from, Central America, they're from Nicaragua, and so rum is a tradition there. And for years when my grandparents would visit years and years and years ago, when they were still alive, they would bring us bottles of Flor de Caña, which had never left Nicaragua unless somebody would take it with them. Now it's on every shelf, and it does have it reminds me of a Flor de Caña, but I'm not sure if that's the rum yeast or if that's the barrel that she's using. It's really intriguing. I know we're like just going on, but you could go on and on with this thing.
You could. Yeah. And that's what we ended up doing with the other expressions as well. You know,
Yeah.
she just like blew our mind with all the combinations of things she was pulling in to build her profile.
If you don't know who she is, Ana Maria Romero Mena is a master distiller, maestra tequilera, but she's responsible for several brands. One of these is Volcan de mi Tierra. Mi Genta is a brand new one that we're hoping to have on our show here shortly. She was also responsible for the new relaunch of Corrido, which we loved. We voted her Master Distiller of the Year for 2020. She was responsible for a few brands that were involved in the Brands of Promise competition, which, if you're not familiar with that, go to our website. You can see all the winners and everybody nominated. But I don't know what else to say about the Volcan de mi Tierra, except it's stellar. Do we have a price point on any of this? Do we know?
Looks like about $50. That's at Old Town Tequila, and that might be the regular price.
I think it's worth every penny. Brand of Promise nominee for 2021, another winner, and thank you again for the
special recognition.
The special recognition that was really cool. That was nice. And the fact that I got an older bottle, older than Rick's bottle. I'm sorry. But anyway, highly recommended. Brand of Promise nominee in this Reposado category. Oakheads will love it. Tequila nuts will love it. It's Ana Maria. What's not to love? But that's our take on Volcan de mi Tierra Reposado. I'm Mike Morales here in the San Gabriel Valley. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy in Escondido, California.
You have been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. Please subscribe to us if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit that red button. Hit the notification bell so every time we upload a video, you're notified on your phone. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please download our or iTunes. Download our podcast. And whatever you do, sip wisely. Tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely, my friend.